What's good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Last night at Madison Square Garden, we were literally this close to pulling off one of the biggest statement wins of the entire season against the #1 team in the Western Conference and the reigning NBA champs. The Knicks fought all the way back from a huge deficit. We had a 3-point lead late, the Garden was absolutely rocking, and with under a minute to go, we had two separate looks from three to tie the game. Both shots looked good in the air, just didn't go in, but the final score was a 3-point loss on a low-scoring night for both teams, a brutal one. It's one of those losses that sticks with you for a minute because you know how close you were to flipping the entire narrative overnight. But here's the reality, the NBA season does not pause for heartbreak, and the Knicks do not have time to sit around thinking about one bounce of the rim because the real challenge is actually just beginning. Starting tomorrow night, this team heads out west for a 4-game road trip that is absolutely loaded with potential playoff level competition. Denver in the altitude, then both LA teams back to back, and then Utah, which I expect a definite win there, waiting at the end of the stretch. This is the kind of trip that tells you exactly what a team is made of, so in today's video we're breaking everything down, what actually happened last night against OKC, the positives and negatives from that game, where the Knicks currently stand in the Eastern Conference race, a full game-by-game survival guide for this brutal road trip, and the 3 players who absolutely have to elevate their level, and finally my official prediction for how many wins the Knicks come home with. And trust me, the margin between a successful trip and a frustrating one is razor thin. Let's start with last night's Thunder game because that's what everybody is talking about right now. The first half honestly was not pretty, only 40 points in the first half. The Knicks came out slow, Oklahoma City pushed the pace immediately, and before you knew it, the deficit had ballooned to 17 points. Turnovers were killing possessions, transition defense was not very sharp, and OKC was getting comfortable looks early on in the shot clock. Against a team as talented as the Thunder on both ends, that's a dangerous way to start a game, but what I loved and what tells me a lot about this Knicks group is that they never panicked. Later in the second half, it had some of the best stretches of Knicks basketball that we've seen all year. The defense tightened up, the ball started moving, and suddenly the Garden crowd sensed the momentum shift. New York outscored Oklahoma City 40-27 in that third quarter alone, completely flipping the script of the game. A double-digit deficit turned into a lead at some point, and for a moment it looked like the Knicks might actually steal one against the best team in the West. Karl-Anthony Towns was an absolute force during that comeback. This is exactly why the Knicks made that move. The rebounding presence, the offensive boards, the ability to create second chance points when possessions break down. And he knew before the game that that was the assignment for him because Mitchell Robinson was out, who was the guy who usually does all those things. Cat finished with 17 points and 17 rebounds, and a huge chunk of those boards came at momentum swinging moments when the Knicks desperately needed extra possessions. Jalen Brunson, meanwhile, did what elite point guards do even when the shot is not falling. He controlled the game. Brunson finished with 16 points and 15 assists, constantly finding cutters, creating open threes for the wings, and making sure the offense never stalled for too long. The wings, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, also played their roles exactly the way you want your wings to play. Tough defense on the perimeter, timely cuts when the defense collapsed, and occasionally knocking down open shots when the ball swung their direction. But then the fourth quarter happened, and that's where Oklahoma City showed exactly why they're sitting at the top of the West. Chet Holmgren completely changed the game with his spacing. He knocked down 6 3-pointers all in the first half and finished with 28 points, stretching the Knicks defense in ways that forced big decisions on every possession, close out and risk the drive, or stay home and give up the 3. Meanwhile, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did exactly what Shai always does, calm, controlled scoring when the game tightens up. He finished with 26 points and 8 assists, and those mid-range pull-ups he lives on are almost impossible to contest cleanly. Now, the final minute was absolute chaos in the best basketball way possible. The Knicks got the stops they needed. Brunson had a good look from 3 that looked perfect leaving his hands, and after an offensive rebound, OG had another clean look from deep, 2 shots that easily could have tied the game, but they rattled out. Now, the easy reaction after a loss like that is frustration, but if you zoom out, there's actually a lot to like about what we saw for long term. The Knicks went toe-to-toe with arguably the best team in the league and had a chance to win in the final seconds. That matters, the fight in the third quarter matters, and the resilience matters. The only real issue, and it's something that we've talked about before, is the slow starts. Against elite teams, you simply cannot spot them 15 or 17 points early and expect to climb out of that hole every time. The defensive intensity we saw later in the game needs to show up right from the opening tip. If that happens, games like this start swinging in the Knicks' favor more often. Now let's zoom out for a second and talk about the standings, because this upcoming road trip has real playoff implications for the Knicks. Right now we sit at 40-23 and third in the Eastern Conference, just a few games behind Boston for the second seed, while Cleveland is right there within striking distance as well. The top of the East is tight, every win matters, and more importantly, every loss can move you down the board quickly. If the Knicks take care of business on this trip, they stay firmly in the top 3 and maintain a real shot at home court advantage in the first round. But if things go sideways and they drop 3 or 4 games out west, suddenly the standings look very different and you're talking about falling toward the 5 or 6 seed. That's why this stretch is not just another set of games on the calendar, it's a seeding swing week. Now let's break down the actual gauntlet. 4 games in 6 days, 3 time zones, altitude in Denver to start, then the LA back-to-back, and then finally Utah waiting at the end. This is the type of trip that contenders survive and pretenders struggle through. The first stop is Denver, and this is the toughest matchup of the entire trip on Friday. Playing at altitude is no joke, and players talk about how the fourth quarter feels like running through mud when you're not used to it. Nikola Jokic is still the most unique offensive engine in basketball, and when Jamal Murray gets hot, the Nuggets become extremely difficult to slow down. And don't forget about Aaron Gordon, who's returning for that game also. For the Knicks to win this one, Karl-Anthony Towns has to dominate the glass once again, and Brunson has to attack early to collapse the defense and create open looks for Bridges and OG. It's a tough game on paper, but stealing it would instantly shift the momentum of the entire road trip. Next up is Los Angeles against the Lakers, and this is where things get really interesting. LeBron James continues to defy time at his age, and pairing him with Luka, obviously in transition, gives the Lakers one of the most creative offensive combinations in the league. But the Knicks actually match up pretty well here because of their wing defense. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby give New York the length and versatility to throw multiple defenders at elite scorers. If Brunson finds a rhythm offensively and the bench provides energy, this game absolutely feels winnable on Sunday. Then comes the back-to-back against the Clippers at the Intuit Dome. And this might be the sneaky toughest spot of the trip simply because of fatigue. Kawhi Leonard is still a nightmare matchup when healthy, and the Clippers' scoring punch from their backcourt can absolutely explode. The key here will be depth. The Knicks' second unit has to step up and keep the energy high and make sure the starters do not run out of gas by the fourth quarter. Finally, the trip ends in Utah on Wednesday, and this is the one that the Knicks absolutely have to take care of. The Jazz are rebuilding and tanking. They're near the bottom of the standings, and on paper, this is the most favorable matchup of the 4. That does not mean that it's automatic. Road games never are, but if the Knicks handle their business, this is the win that keeps the trip from turning negative. When you put all of that together, the realistic expectation here is somewhere between 2-2 and 3-1. Survive Denver, split the LA games, and take care of Utah. That's the formula. Now the question becomes, who needs to step up the most? First and foremost, Jalen Brunson. He's the engine that drives everything this team does. On the road, in hostile environments, your point guard sets the tone. Brunson attacking the paint, controlling the tempo, and getting to the free throw line will be crucial throughout this trip. Second is Karl-Anthony Towns, because rebounding and spacing are going to dictate these matchups. If Cat controls the glass and stretches opposing bigs out to the perimeter, the Knicks' offense becomes extremely difficult to defend. And third is Mikal Bridges, whose defensive versatility might end up being the single most important factor of the trip. He will see Jokic, LeBron, Kawhi, elite players every night. His ability to slow those guys down while still contributing offensively gives the Knicks a huge edge. So here's my official prediction. I'm calling 3-1 on this road trip. I think the Knicks steal one against a contender, handle Utah, and keep themselves firmly in the top tier of the Eastern Conference standings. It won't be easy, but if this team plays with the same fight that we saw in that third quarter last night against OKC, they absolutely have the talent to do it. Now I want to hear from you guys. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. 2-2, 3-1, or are you feeling bold and saying 4-0 sweep? Which game do you think the Knicks steal on this trip? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and sub to the channel for more Knicks news and updates you will not want to miss. It's been KNYT here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.